Everything is fine. Pay attention to my words and not my tone.
How did you pick and choose sort of who to call up? And are there other people from your sort of playbook that we may see in the future?
Aha, right. Well, I hope this was always going to be a Hugh Laurie project.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd worked with Hugh on Veep, and he's in my film, David Copperfield, along with Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it was going to revolve around Hugh, and I knew it was going to be in space. And Hugh has these two images. In the US, he's seen as this authoritative expert in-house. In the UK, we know him as a comedy actor as well. And we like the idea of him being someone who outwardly embodies the character of leader and person in charge, but inwardly is going, please help me, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm a fraud. So that's how we started. I wanted to work with Rebecca Front again, who I'd worked with on Day to Day and in the thick of it. We had a great time on the movie, so I wanted to work with Nikki again. But fundamentally, I like to get the cast in early so that we know who's playing the part while we're still rewriting, so we can then write to them and then have conversations with them as well about the characters, and that helps inform the kind of dynamic.
NASA can offer both expertise and resources.
We can. This is the overall cost to NASA.
Is that the figure or a phone number we call to get the figure?
So this is set 40 years in the future.
Yeah.
Which seems like, you know, a reasonable amount of time for this to be happening,
Yes.
but also like it seems very soon. Do you
Exactly.
know what I mean?
So nothing much has radically changed. If you look back 40 years, you know, all the buildings are roughly the same. Cars are doing roughly the same. The only big difference would be maybe social media and the internet. So similarly, I wanted to set it in a time where it wasn't the future where we're all on hover boots and silver uniforms and stuff. It still wanted to be recognisably the real world. But we can do extensive space travel.
In your 40 years in the future,
Yeah.
is the space travel just one of the options? It's not like we don't cruise anymore because the oceans are ruined. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just like...
It's not. We give little tantalising throughout the season. We give little tantalising bits of information as to what might have been happening over the. I mean, at some point
I'd say the Pacific's toxic.
the Pacific went toxic at one point. You go to the White House and meet the president a bit later on, but it's all radically different from how it is now. Because I'm planning as we get further ahead to open out what's happening on Earth. And so that we can get a better sense of what's been happening, and therefore, you know, whether it's worth them coming back.
Some of the science in the show sounds insane, like using the feces for the radiation, but it's actually true.
Yes, that's true, yes.
I was going to say, like...
I went round the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena and talked to the scientists, the engineers there, and they were very keen to stress that.
They were like, oh, you got to hear this one. I was going to say, like, what did you learn, sort of, like, beyond just acting stuff? Like, what did you learn from the making of the show?
Scientifically?
Yeah, anything?
Well, I think using human waste to insulate the spaceship was, like, the most surprising thing that I learned. I didn't concentrate so much on the technical stuff because also I'm really intimidated. I always think I won't understand it all. But I learned more about, I was looking more about characterization and just, you know, how people respond under pressure, really. And I love that it was so similar to where we are now. I think in a way, it's a way of looking at the world we live in now, you know, and kind of examining it in a different way because we're so close. I think a lot of what we read now seems almost unbelievable. You know, how long do we have the planet for? You know, all this kind of stuff. And it's like a way of focusing on now.
And something that's become predominantly, or especially clear in the past 4 years, is like how incompetent a lot of people in power are. And like in this sort of case too, you have this guy, Judd, who's like, you know, owns the ship, puts his name on everything, and then you're kind of like, he doesn't know shit. Do you know what I mean? Or like the captain.
He had one good idea, which was tourism and holidays.
Yeah.
And he thinks because of that, all his ideas are amazing.
And that's something you've played with before in other shows.
Yeah.
Like, why is that funny to you and interesting to you? I mean, it's...
Because it's also become much more clear now that there are people in power who now think that if they just said something, it would happen, and then are amazed that it doesn't happen. Maybe because they've come from a world of business where that was the case. They don't understand how the world doesn't work like that. Once you come up hard against the factual laws of physics, that I think your own power to affect change becomes diminished. That becomes frustrating for certain people.
Let's all take a second here. They'll figure this out.
Who's the engineer here?
Who's the genius? Who's the captain?
Who fucked up?
If you guys were in an Avenue 5 situation, like, I mean, there's obviously things you'd want to have. You want to make sure you have enough drinking water or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you're like, I would really want to make sure I had a deck of cards? Or do you know what I mean? Like something where you're like, I don't want to
Really
watch the same
well-stocked
5
library.
movies.
Yeah, I was
Like,
about to say a
Yeah.
well-stocked library would be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you could escape, couldn't you?
Yeah.
In other ways. And I think you could sort of go on journeys in the mind, I guess. Because you were saying you were looking at prison films and things like that.
That's
it has
right,
that kind
enclosure.
of element to,
Yes,
to how you
yes.
stop yourself getting cabin fever is to somehow expand your mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though you're literally like, you're able to look up and see the whole universe. Like, just, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But still.
It's quite dull.
Yeah.
You know, it's great once you're close to a planet, but fundamentally, it's mostly black with some white dots.